everybody. The last few days have been a part of a lot of that Uber take rate conversation. I'm gonna be meeting with a few other people to talk about Uber's take rate. And I thought I'd just reach out to you guys and discuss the take rate. So let me put a good comment up here. Let's see here, not us here. What should let's see here. Let's do it this way. Do it this way. Let's see here. No, let's go. Let's do, yeah, let's do it this way. What's fair? I can't type like this. Take rate. So yeah, just let me know. There is Lisa. Hey, Lisa. I'm sitting over here in DeWitt near the Wegmans parking lot. Lisa, what's going on? Keith, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, what's going on, guys? So did you turn the truck in? Yes, I did turn the truck in, Lisa. I'll have to take you around on the Cybertruck another time. So let me take a step back here. A couple days ago, Lynn Sherman, the friend of mine, the professor at Columbia, he put out some research using data from me and some data from other drivers about Uber's take rate, and it's a big mess. That's all it really comes down to. And I wanted to get some information from you guys, what you think is a good fair take rate. Now let's define the take rate. It's you and me as drivers get, say it's a $10 fare. So if $10 fare comes in, what is Uber's profitability? What is their margin? Because obviously you and I as drivers can't get the full amount of the take because there's taxes. Uber's got to make a profit. Uber's got cost, and then of course commercial auto insurance, which is the big cluster of it all. That's the big mess. So let's see here. Let me reach back out in the comments and see what's going on there. See, you can tell I'm old because I got to look like this with my glasses here. Dan, what's going on, Dan? It says it's only going to get worse over time as Uber pushes towards self-driving cars. Lisa, yeah, 80-20. Well, let's talk about an 80-20 split. A $10 fare, I get 8, or you get 8, right? And Uber gets 20%. Oh, by the way, I'm sitting out here. It's so boring. I'm sitting out here, not even getting any rides. That's why I went live. So an 80-20 split, $2 to Uber. Now, are we guessing if it was an 80-20 split where I get 80% or the driver gets 80% and Uber gets 20? Are we gonna make the assumption that Uber can pay the taxes, the fees, the commercial auto insurance out of that 20%? Right? Let me go on a little bit of a rant here for a second, and I'll be looking at the comments here. Uber's take rate on any given trip for me has fluctuated from, I don't know, as much as like 70%, maybe 65, 70%. So Uber, if the passenger paid $100, Uber took $65. But I've also had fares where Uber lost money. Uber has lost money as upwards of like 10%. So if the passenger paid $100, I earned $110. And Uber took a 10% loss or 10 loss. So I think we all should acknowledge that Uber's take rate fluctuates. And it's easy for me as a content creator to like put content out there that's like, oh look, Uber took 65% of this fare. And that's true. That fare had that transaction. It's clickbait, and it works really, really well to drive up my numbers as a YouTuber. But let's be honest here for a second. I think we can't look at the bad rides where Uber's take rate's high and not talk about the rides where Uber's take rate is low. So when I see a high take rate on one individual ride, I think there needs to be context around that. And that context for a lot of drivers is that drivers are earning other money on top of that base fare. So for example, I tend to earn promotions, bonuses, things like that. I also earn tips. Now, the base fare is the base fare, and it should be something that's pretty much fair. But are you with me so far in this? Are you following along with me? It's not, we can't look at one individual ride and go, that's a horrible take rate, and not look at the other things surrounding the take rate. Now, I'm not defending the take rate. What does Hassan say? Too bad you didn't go to college and now are doing this. I went to college. Let's see here. What does Lisa say here? I don't think it fluctuates. I think they make it look like they took a loss and that we made money, but there are times when we took a loss and they made money. That's true. Let's see here. I don't mean to be negative. I'm just looking from a pure capitalist perspective, and there is a push towards maximum profit for the firm. Let's talk about those things. Too bad college didn't help you get a good job. I have a great job. I like Uber driving. I think Uber driving is a great job. Now I'm sitting around bored. Maybe I'm a foolish man, but let me put my lights on here because it's gonna get dark. Put some lights on here. Uber's take rate can be and is frustrating when you look at it in one-off situations, right? But we got to look at it on a per week basis. So we get those reports in our app. You know, we get these things like this. See, I'm going to go open up my Uber app here. And I'm saying Uber, but it could be Lyft, it could be DoorDash. I don't really care. They're all the same to me. I just say Uber because that's what I think. So last week, my Uber take rate was, I got 43% of the fare, and Uber says 22%. Now, Uber said that last week, their take rate was 23% on commercial auto insurance and 22% for their profitability. So that's frustrating. So we got the ride, we have the one-off type of thing here. But I looked at my taxes for last year, and this is kind of where I need your help, right? I want to talk about it here in the chat. I went back and I looked at my taxes and I recalculated everything, and it looks like after bonuses and promotions and all this other kind of stuff, I ended up getting 70% of the fare that the passengers paid up front. And Uber only got about a 20% gross margin, and then about 9% goes to taxes, give or take. That's of the base fare, not tips. I got another $9,000 last year in tips. So on one hand, I'm going to look at a ride and get really frustrated that Uber's take rate was really high. And then, look at this, a $7 trip for 25 minutes. No thanks. And And then on the other hand, I'm going to calculate over the period of a year and see that my take rate was closer to like 70% of the fare. Now, I'm not saying Uber is right. I'm not defending it. I'm not sure what the right take rate should be. But I think we have to, as drivers, come at it from an honest perspective. We can't look at one ride or even 1 week and go, this is what the take rate is. We should be honest with our analysis, be much more thorough, and look at a bigger time span. So the only other time span that I have for data is a year. So why am I asking this? Well, definitely I don't want to ruffle feathers with my fellow drivers. I think my fellow drivers, sometimes people ask me like, why am I defending Uber? I'm not trying to defend Uber. I just want to get to the truth. I want to be honest. And so my question is, have you measured your take rate, not on a trip or even on a week? Have you tried to go back and look at your taxes and try to estimate what the actual take rate was over a given year? If you have, let me know what that take rate was and things like that. And then on top of it, I've got some interviews coming up because there's a lot of news reports going around because of Consumer Reports, the Consumer Watchdog Report, Lynn Sherman's analysis, and my data. About a year ago, I did, you know how on the YouTube channel I like to do big data reports and stuff like that. My data got mixed into a lot of that, and so newspaper reporters and people have called me and asked me to participate in interviews. And I think sometimes the newspaper reporters, I'm using the word newspaper broadly, but just people want to interview me and talk to me about Uber's take rate. And I want to bring your message to them too. That's what this live is about. Because I come across to a lot of Uber drivers, my fellow drivers, you guys that watch this channel, as an apologist for Uber, right? If you were to look at my friends, the Uber driver content creators that are much more definitive on their stance on Uber. I think about like Torsten or Sergio or Chris or any of the other content creators to some extent. They basically call out Uber's BS, and they're definitive to that. Where I hedge a little bit. I'm hesitant, and it's not because I'm worried about saying Uber's a lie or something like that, or losing my job. I'm much more concerned that I don't have the data to prove Uber is stealing things from me or things like that, or their take rate's too much. So that's why I did this video. So again, the way the transaction worked is about a year ago, I did the exact same trip 150 some odd times. I measured it over a period of 2 years, and I put all that data into a video, and nothing really came of it. But I've befriended a few people over time, and they've used that data, like Professor Lynn Sherman over at Columbia University. He then took that data as part of his bigger research project, presented it, and that report came out this week or last week. And then on top of it, there's other reports from Consumer Reports and everybody else. So now, I'm kind of caught up in it, but I don't have data outside of my data to prove Uber is taking too much of the fare or anything else like that. I've got individual rides where I go, look, Uber took too much, but I also have rides, and I assume you as a driver, if you're a driver, you have rides where you got a big chunk of the fare. And that's what I did in the video. So I just released a video today, and it took me 2-3 days to put everything together. It took me about a half a day on Wednesday and half a day on Thursday just to collect all the data, write everything down, put everything into tables and graphs and charts. And then it took me about a day to make that video, to put it all together and make a video today. And that's where I was watching my video, watching my own performance. And there's a part of me that's kind of like, that's Levi. I sound like a Uber apologist, because when I watch like Torsten, the rideshare professor, he's like a fire breather and he's totally on it. And I love that. Me, I'm always hedging a little bit. I just can't sit there and look and go, Uber's doing this when I don't have the data to prove it. So my question to you is, to the chat, if you're out there, what should Uber's take rate be? What is Uber's take rate that you have? For example, if you looked at your annual data to measure your take rate. So let me roll into chat here real quick. I have to take my glasses off so I can read here. So let's see here. Where am I from? I grew up in Hawaii, but I live in Syracuse, New York. I do know, very smart, much intelligent. That's me. Or are you talking about me, Hassan, or somebody else? So let's go. Too bad you couldn't hedge your hair growth. That'd be funny. I know. Oh God, being bald stuff. Chucky, what's going on? TDA, thank you for subscribing, Chuck. Thank you for joining as a membership. I really appreciate it, guys. See here, Chucky says, what is it you do when a ride request come in? Look how far they pick up, drop off, total miles. Hey, Chucky, man, I just use GigU. GigU is a sponsor of the channel, and that's what I do. So when I have GigU open, I got it turned off the app, but I have GigU right on, and it just calculates everything. So it looks like this. I no longer have to calculate the fares. I see things like this. I have my calculation right there. So every time a ride comes in, it does all the calculation. And if this thing is green, I can take it. So I don't have to do any mental math anymore on the fares, Chucky. Lisa says, it cost me $43 a mile to move my car, plus what I put in gas. That's how I judge how I make money. There you go. 43 cents is a lot. Lisa, are you still driving a Subaru? Come on, 43 cents is a lot of money. I see here. We need free labor to drive us. Okay. TDA, personally, I think it should be no more than what cab companies would take. Okay, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean it should be no more than what cab companies should take? What is a fair take rate? And what is your current take rate if you look at it on an annual basis? App, what's going on? App Rides. Oh, App Rides. Oh, I see your comments all the time, App Rides. Finally catching this guy live is like a miracle. Just to let you know, this is not an hourly job. Okay, App Rides. Let me roll my window up. This is great. Let's take a pause break from the take rate. App Rides, I want to address your comment because, okay, I know the job is not an hourly job, but we take what we make as a ride, as a revenue, minus our costs. We break it down to the minute, then we can multiply that minutely profit number into an hour, and then I know what I'm making on an hourly basis. So I'm not saying I'm getting paid $16 or $20 or $30 or $40 an hour. What I'm saying is that I know that what I'm making on an hourly basis. And then at the end of a shift, I can even measure it. How much did I make per hour? Because that's how we compare what we're doing to other things. So I know what you mean by that. I agree it's not an hourly job, but when I say it's an hourly rate, it's like a speed limit. So for example, if I went from here where I'm sitting in this parking lot to my house and I drove an average of 30 miles an hour, it doesn't mean I drove 30 miles an hour the whole time, because sometimes I went 45, sometimes I went 15, but over that period of time, I drove 30 miles an hour. And you understand that 30 miles an hour because it's something that we can relate. So that was really great. Now let's get back to the fair take rate. Let me see what's in the Zesty Uncle. Yeah, he gets me going. That was good. I love thoughtful comments and app rides. I love that. And so I'm glad I was able to finally address it on a live. Ooh, I got a reservation. Let's see here. Do you guys want to see? Let's see if I can take this reservation. I'm literally sitting here not getting any rides. This is not good. Reservations. Friday. Yeah, let's take this sucker. I'll accept that ride. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Now let's get back to the chat here. Now I have to take my glass off. I'm so old. Okay, let's see here. Why don't Uber drivers strike? Because we're not in a union. Hey, Mind Without Reason says, hey, I just wanted to say that I have nothing to do with Uber driving and rarely use Uber. And I love your videos as background noise while working. It's so calming. That's really helpful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm sitting here in the car. Let's see here. Let's see here. Watchdog the Bee says, I actually sue Uber because drunk passenger pee on my car and broke my window. What the heck? And she said I called her the N-word. Oh my gosh. And Uber just banned you? I'm really sorry, ma'am. Let's see here. We aren't employees, we're a contractor, says TDA. Apologies for my grammar. I understand what you mean. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Let's see here. And you also have to be an independent contractor. You have to work for yourself. Never work for Uber or Lyft. Always yourself. Try to get away from these apps. App rides. I'm going to take that on one more time. What's going on? DL Vapes. What's going on? 25 to 35%, no more. Hey, wow. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Let's see here. That's Uber used. I can't read, man, without my glasses. It's done by Lisa. Let's see here. Okay. App rides. I'm going to address one more thing. Get away from these apps. I agree. I think it's really beneficial for people to take control of their own lives and not be forced to use these apps. When I say I'm an Uber driver, doesn't mean I work for Uber. I work for myself. It's just a common language that people outside of our world understand. So it's just a way for me to communicate. If the trip covers my deadhead miles, let's see here. So DL Vape says 25 to 35% on the fair take rate. No shady business with insurance nonsense. If they provided and maintained the car, sure, maybe 50%. Otherwise, no, they wouldn't exist without us. That is such a good point. Now, did you guys take a look at that report that just came out with the insurance rates? So the insurance is, it looks to me like Uber is self-insuring. There was a Watchdog report that came out with their self-insurance rates, and it looks like Uber is just pocketing the money. Have you guys seen that? Nick, 4-door, there you go. Hey, I saw you on LinkedIn again. I have to I have to re-engage you back over on LinkedIn. If I say zero, if the technology escapes them anyway. Oh my gosh. So when it comes to the take rate, let me go back and monologue here for just a second here. Again, thank you so much for that gift for $5. I super appreciate it. Obviously, Uber has to have a take rate of some kind, right? Because if they don't have a take rate, they're not going to make money. They're not going to develop the app. They're not going to market. There's a lot of things that they do. They should make a revenue and a profitability. That's good. And they do cover a lot of the costs, taxes, fees, the credit card processing transaction fees, and they also have that commercial auto insurance. But that is a black hole. That is a thing that I'm not sure anybody can really understand and articulate. So last year, I did an analysis of like 159 rides. They were all from Ithaca, New York to Syracuse Airport. They were all roughly 61, 62 miles. So, and they were all the same car. I was in my Tesla. They were all um, same driver. The commercial auto insurance for that trip, same miles, same driver, same car, over a 2-year time period, it fluctuated from as little as $13, $14, I think, all the way up to $50 for commercial auto insurance. And I think this is the transaction. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys have this is the way I think the transaction goes. Uber prices a trip. Somebody goes out there and says, hey, I want to catch an Uber. They go into the app and they order an Uber, and that sets the price. Let's say it's $10. The person pays $10 for an Uber. Then Uber goes out using their algorithm and shops and finds a driver. It could be exclusive, Trip Radar. There's a million ways they do it, but whatever. They find a driver, and they find a driver. Let's say they find that driver for $5. So $10 is what the passenger paid. $5 is what the driver gets. That's a gap of $5, and that gives us a 50% take rate. With me so far? So step 1, set a price. Step 2, set a fare with the driver. Step 3 is to come up with the taxes, the fees, any type of cost that go into that. That's typically about, from in our city, about 8, 9, 10%, give or take. Now they've got $4 remaining. I think Uber at that point in time makes sure their revenue, their profitability is just under ours, and then they send the rest to commercial auto insurance. So they don't charge commercial auto insurance, so they don't estimate commercial auto insurance based upon the ride. They base it upon the balance of the fare that is due. Has that kind of been your take? Let me take a look in the chat, see what's going on here. They lowered the insurance costs, but the fares seem to be the same. Yeah, they just did that here in New York State. Trucking company self-insures, says Tomac. Let's see here. TDA says deadhead miles are just for destination mode. Yeah, you get 2 per day. Yep. Let's see here. Nick, all good. There he goes. Let's see here. So I did that research on my Ithaca to Syracuse trip about a year ago, and it was based off of data from 2 years. I made that video, and it didn't go viral. Not a lot of people saw it, but people that are in the business saw it. And the reason why I'm asking you here in the chat and hoping to get some comments from you guys what the take rate should be is that I've got some reporters and people flying in to meet with me in the next week or so to talk with me as a driver, right? What my take is on the take rate. And one of the problems that I have is I'm not the kind of person that's going to attack Uber because I don't have the data to attack Uber with. I only have my data, and my data is there's some rides where the take rate's high, some rates where the take rate's low, and then there are weeks where the take rate is high, there are weeks when the take rate is low. So I looked at a year, I looked at 2025, my tax bill, and Uber's take rate was only 20%. I got, well, it was 30%. And 10% of it went to taxes and fees. I got 70% of the base fare. And then Uber, their gross margin and what they paid for commercial auto insurance was 20%. So my fear is that there's going to be a report, some sort of newspaper article that's going to go out where it's going to say like, Levi Spire is a driver in Syracuse, New York with 15,000 trips. He doesn't really mind Uber's take rate. And I don't think that's really the take that I have. If you watch the video that I just put out today, if you go to the YouTube channel and watch it, it's much more nuanced. That's the take that I have. I think Uber should charge a fair price. I think Uber should pay drivers fairly. I think Uber should make a profit. But it's that commercial auto insurance. That's the black box that I think everybody is kind of grasping at right now. If you were to talk to people that do watchdog reports on Uber that are looking into the data, it's commercial auto insurance. I think they potentially, I don't know if they're doing something illegal because I can't prove that, so I'm not going to claim that. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Let's go take a look at the chat and see if I can jump back out there and see what's going on, guys. All right, Tomac, let's see here, between rides. Okay, Levi, instead of driving for Uber and Lyft, the real move is to do a taxi limo rides at the airport and not let Uber and Lyft get any of the cut. Okay, Nas Rocket League. Okay, I don't know if that's the real take or not. I don't know what it takes to be a limousine or a taxi driver, but the reason why I like Uber over my own private business or working for somebody else as a taxi or limousine driver or anything like that is I love the flexibility and freedom. See, right now, I turned the Uber app off. I'm bored out of my mind. I wasn't getting any rides. And I was like, you know what? I haven't done a live stream in a long time. So I just did that. Tomorrow, instead of working, because I'm going to go to New York City to go be with my son down in New York City through Saturday and Sunday through Father's Day. Flexibility. And I know there's a trade-off, and I think we all have to assume there's a trade-off. With that flexibility and freedom of gig work, whether it's Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, or whatever else, comes at a price. You can make more money as a taxi driver or owning your own business, but that price that you're paying to make that more money is a cost to your freedom, your ability to control your own time. That's the reason why I don't do it. Let's go take a look at some more of the chat here. But I support it. If you want to do it, go for it. There's definitely more money potentially to being a taxi or a limousine driver owning your own thing here. Let's see here. I see TDA says, I wonder if Driving Insights determine how much they take on insurance. I don't think so. I'm almost at a 99%. What is my Driving Insights right now? Let me take a look. TDA. My safety Driving Insights is 97. So I'm at a 97 Driving Insights, and the few times they dock me, it's like a function of their app is messing up, not that I'm a bad driver. So I don't know if the insurance rates fluctuates based upon that. Ooh, there's a reserved ride tonight at midnight. Let's go see. Should I take it? I do a lot of reserve rides during the summer because there's literally nothing going on. Nope. They gave me a reserved ride that's an hour and a half away. I'm not driving down there for a $30 fare. God, it is so dead. Look at this. This is what it looks like in Syracuse right now. And see me, I'm not even in the city of Syracuse. I'm sitting out on the edge. So I just turned the app off. All right, so let's see here. Let's keep going through the chat. Flexibility, that's right. Colorado Ride Guy, that's right. Flexibility is a lot of value. Nas Rocket League. I bought a $125,000 Rivian RS1 to do Uber and Lyft. Bought a 24 RS1 to do at 20,000 miles. My goal is to clear $2 per mile Uber and Lyft Black SUV. Nice. All right. I paid $71,000 for the Rivian. That's okay. Nice. Wow, so that's better than mine. And it qualifies for XXL. You know, we here in the city of Syracuse, we don't have Uber Black. So people ask me why I don't upgrade to a nicer car. If I got a Cadillac Escalade, brand new, like the best I can do is Uber XL, maybe XXL, yeah, Uber Comfort. There you go. So my Tesla does Uber Comfort also. So by having a Tesla, I'm foregoing Uber XL, but that's really it. We don't have Uber Black here. So I can't do that. Deadly says, if a car has 200,000 miles, your Uber account gets deactivated for driving passengers. Really interesting. How do they know how many miles you have? Nick says at $2 a mile, how can you do 140K? That's pretty interesting. Yeah, you gotta do like, you gotta do a lot of miles, right? Levi, I'm glad it's not just me. I did 5 rides and came home. Yeah, Lisa. That's why I'm out live streaming tonight, guys. I got bored sitting in a parking lot doing nothing. I did have a milkshake, so there you go. Okay, so the Uber take rate, it's a really important thing, but I can't attest to some sort of thing that Uber is stealing from drivers. I can't prove it. If you can prove it, I mean, you and I might have a feeling that Uber is stealing from us. Sometimes I feel that way, right? But I can't prove it. So it's a thing that makes me concerned as a guy who's about to be interviewed by some publications. I don't want to come across as somebody who's making stuff up. And I also don't want to come across as an apologist for Uber. So I'm looking to you guys, I'm looking to the chat here for some really good fair takes on what the take rate should be and stuff like that. So we got 32 of you out there. That's really great. And the 8 likes, I appreciate it. Okay. Let's see here. You guys still talking about that Nas business. They don't steal, they just take. That's funny. Nick says, ask them if their insurance cost is variable or nor. What is nor or not? Variable or not, I think is what you meant. I guarantee you if they pay the same price. Uber self-insures, Nick. That's the thing. And that's what, there's a company called Alika Insurance or something out in Hawaii. They are a subsidiary of Uber, and they are the insurance company. And that's how it works that way. Let's see here. Simple, ask the rides how much they make and pay for the trip. Yeah, Nas, I've done that before. I've done a $16 ride where I got $4 and they paid $16. That's really frustrating. Yep, so they reinsure. That's exactly right, Nick. That's how they do it. So if you happen to be a passenger or somebody that orders Ubers, what is a fair take? What is your assumption that the Uber driver gets? So I just did a video today and it was really funny. The way it started off, if you haven't seen it yet, is the guy gets in the car and he said something about, he maybe wants to walk. So I said, you want me to let you out here? And he goes, no. And I said, I know you paid a lot for this ride, so I'll take you all the way to the end or something. We were just bantering back and forth. And he goes, I paid $20 for a 1 mile ride here in Auburn, New York. And he was really, upset they had to pay $20. And then he made this comment, which was delicious. He goes, I paid $20 and you probably only got 10. And the fact is, and I told him, and you watch it in the video, I was like, no, I only got 8. So the video kind of starts from there. It's a pretty funny opening to the video. But yeah, Uber's take rate is a really interesting thing. Let's open this conversation up a little bit more. There's Uber's take rate. And we know that the take rate is not based upon an actual fixed percentage. What Uber does is they have variable pricing, algorithmic pricing. They charge passengers as much as they can possibly get from the passenger, and they pay drivers as little as they possibly can get the driver. And that's how they make their money and their margins. My question to you is this. I'm going to change this question out here. Actually, let me drag that in that Q&A. Let me go to another question here. I am going to ask a question here. Do you trust Uber? I know, kind of a funny question to ask, right? Do you trust Uber? Do you trust the brand Uber? Oh, thanks so much. Flow State. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Nick. I really do. That is so cool. Thank you so much. Um, do you trust Uber? Now, do you trust any brand? What brand do you trust? So I'm in a Tesla. I have an Apple Watch. I think Tesla and Apple are two brands that I trust. So, do you trust Uber? And I think that's the interesting thing about dynamic algorithmic pricing. I was just talking on a chat with my friend, the economic professor out at Columbia, Lynn Sherman. We were just chatting, and he sent me an article to read. And that article basically says that algorithmic pricing, what Uber does, is great for generating maximum profits, but it's horrible at generating long-term brand trust. I think people, consumers, drivers, we feel burned. We feel manipulated. We don't trust. I don't trust Uber. I can't imagine anybody trusting Uber. So I think even though their algorithm is amazing at generating a lot of profit, I think in the long run they're actually hurting their brand and their business. And any reasonable competitor that can build trust is going to come in and clean Uber's house. They're going to clock them. It's just not going to be good at all, because Uber, and I'm going to put Lyft in there, but DoorDash, whatever, any of these algorithmic pricing apps, these gig work apps, they are burning bridges with drivers and passengers. Am I right? Let me go see what's going on in the chat here. All right. U-turn. I enjoy the work, but the company not so much. Yeah, that's basically where I feel. That's so true. TDA says, no, I don't trust anyone that signs a paycheck. Learned that from the Navy. That's so funny. You don't trust anybody that signs a paycheck. Learned from the Navy. So we're talking about the president of the United States there. Could be a lot of different presidents. Doesn't have to be any particular one. Nick says, you can't trust a company whose only business is based on monopoly because they kill the market price. That's such a good true. See here. Uber has the market and in branding. Do you think so, Tomek, is he said? So it just says we have an XL ride and we accept similar to New York City. Interesting. We have flat rides here. Message redacted. Absolutely night starts with AI chatbots and support. Yeah. How can you trust a company with AI chatbots, right, Dan? Okay, so let's walk through all this again, just because I like to keep the chat and the live stream kind of going here in a certain direction. I like to do a lot of data analysis. Last year, I did a data analysis on one trip where I saw the price fluctuation with an Uber, and it looked like the commercial auto insurance was kind of funky. I work with Professor Lynn Sherman on my data and some other drivers' data. He did a lot of the work. I didn't do anything, actually. He did all this work, but my data was in there and my name's on the report. He publishes it. Same time, Consumer Watchdog report comes out, and Consumer Reports, another report comes out, and it's all about Uber's pricing. So if you've watched NBC, The Today Show, CBS, there's been all these news reports about Uber and their algorithmic pricing. And so today, this whole week, I've been getting phone calls from people that want to interview me to come to Syracuse, where I live, and interview me and represent drivers for some bigger pieces on Uber's take rate. So I spend this week doing a deep dive into my data and looking at Lynn's data, looking at Consumer Reports data to produce a report of my own, a video of my own to say, like, here's the take rate. And what I found was that, yeah, there are rides where Uber takes a big chunk of the fare, 60, 70% of the fare. And there are also rides where I get more than what the passenger paid because of surges or something like that. So then if I look at weekly data, recently, right now, I'm getting about 43% of the fare the last month because it's been really slow. It's summertime here in Syracuse. But like in January, I was getting like 90% of the fare. There was one week where I got 106% of the fare. So the passengers paid $1,000 for fares in the month of whatever, January. I'm making this up because I don't have the data here in front of me. And Uber's take rate was -6% or something like that. Okay, so when I produce this report, I sum everything up and I look at my annual data for 2025, and Uber's take rate, or my take rate of the base fare for 2025, was 70%. I took 70% of the fare, and that includes my bonuses and the base fare. It didn't include tips. So when I made my video and I watched it, I watch all my videos to kind of critique myself. I was thinking I sounded like an apologist for Uber, but I wanted to come across with a solution, because I think what's happening, because of all this algorithmic pricing, all of this is hurting Uber's brand. And today, Uber can get away with it because they're almost a monopoly. There's Lyft, there's other options, but for the most part, Uber is the only game in town for most rideshare options. Ooh, there's a wreck almost behind me. Okay, so I was thinking, so I made that video today and I addressed it to Uber's leadership, like Dara, the board, the investors like Bill Ackman, Bill Gurley, Jason Calacanis. And I'm like, algorithmic pricing might be making you money today, but tomorrow you're going to have more competitors, Uber, and you're burning bridges of trust with your passengers and your drivers. So here's my solution. Hear me out. Let me see. Tell me if this solution works to you guys, and then I'll go back into the chat here. My solution to Uber's brand trust problem caused by algorithmic pricing isn't to fix the rate, isn't to have a rate card for drivers or anything like that. I think it's to lean into and build positive relationships with the drivers, specifically drivers that have a lot of experience, drivers like you or me. If you've done like 5,000 rides, or I've done 15,000 or whatever, you've been doing it for many years, you're a professional, you have a clean car, you're highly rated, whatever it is. Uber should not have a negative relationship with me or you. Uber should have a positive relationship with us. Uber shouldn't see you or me as a liability. They should see us as an asset. The veteran, not veteran for military, but veteran, the longtime drivers for Uber should be the brand ambassadors. That's my solution to Uber's trust problem. I don't know how to execute that yet. I didn't think all of this all the way through. But right now, I think Uber sees drivers, especially drivers that make money, as negative. They see us as liabilities. It's antagonistic. It's a hostile work environment. I don't have a human relationship with anybody at Uber, which is interesting. My other profession that I do is YouTube, right? I'm a monetized YouTuber, and I make a living as a YouTuber. We have sponsors, Red Tiger, GigU, shout out to those guys. YouTube pays me when I make videos. But YouTube's algorithm works very similar to Uber's algorithm. So it's really funny. I'm managed. I don't work for YouTube and I don't work for Uber, but those are my two primary platforms, and both of them are algorithmic machines that manage me to some extent. They pay me because some videos will take off and I can make a lot of money on some YouTube videos, and some YouTube videos I don't make any money and I have no control over it. So it's really interesting. But YouTube sees me as an asset. I have a person at YouTube that I can email. I can set up a meeting with them and talk to them. YouTube wants me to make more videos. YouTube wants me to be out there positively. Now, here's the funny thing. My take rate with Uber last year was 70%. How much of a take rate do you think YouTube gets of what I make on YouTube? So again, I make a video. Let's say the video generates $100 in revenue from ads or whatever. Of that $100, how much do you think I get? Any guesses out there? I'm gonna take a look at the chat here. Yeah, that's right. I never thought about Uber's take either. TDA, good. Let's see here. I got 6 which I feel is accurate. All right. TDA, but after you brought up, I kind of researched it and learned that Uber's generally less brutal than a taxi on weekdays. TDA says that I'm dating my AI support agent. That's so funny. If a video on YouTube makes $100, I tend to get about $40. Uber's or YouTube's take rate is 60%, give or take. I'm still happy because I made $60 to make a video. So instead of going out Uber driving for the day, I spent the whole day making a YouTube video and I made $60. So both things I do are not making a lot of sense, it seems like sometimes when I say it out loud. But my solution to build Uber's brand and their trust, and so passengers and drivers trust them, is to lean heavily into building positive relationships with long-time Uber drivers with a lot of experience that are high quality drivers. That's what I think Uber should do. They can't pay us a lot more. I don't think there's a lot of margin to pay us more. And I'm not saying like a veteran driver should make $100 more a week or something like that. I don't know what I don't know if it's worth it for me to do that, is another way to say it. But another way to look at it would be, how about if you have more than 10,000 rides completed as a driver, you have a representative at Uber you can talk to. And I talk to the same person every single time. Right? That'd be kind of cool. Hey, Levi, I know you're not a diamond driver, but you know what? You've done 10,000 rides with us. Tommy or Susie over in the Philippines, right? That person is your rep, your Uber rep. You can call that person if you have a problem or an issue. You can build a relationship with that person, so that way you're not talking to a new customer service agent every single time. I think that'd be kind of cool. Let's see here. Let's see here. 10 cents. No, you don't do any service on YouTube? I do. I don't know what you mean by that. So there you go. Let's see here. I'm Diamond, Nick says, but I could do no longer drive 45 days. Stupid support. I didn't know. It's so stupid. I know Uber pays more than Lyft. I do both, but at least 40% more here in Vegas. Okay, interesting. So, do you trust Uber? What do you think of their brand? Let me ask one final question. I think Uber drivers, Lyft, DoorDash, gig workers, we're a very cynical bunch, right? When you're managed, like if you're out Uber driving or Lyft, or again, I'm just using Uber as the example. When you're managed by an AI algorithm, it's extremely frustrating. And so you become cynical, you become negative. And I think to myself, when that pastor comes walking up and I crack my window and they say something like, "Hey, are you my Uber driver?" They don't see me as Levi, they see me as Uber. And I just think there's a huge opportunity for Uber to not have a negative, hostile relationship with me or with you as a driver. I think Uber should have positive relationships with drivers. Now, there's 6 million drivers, and it's obviously they can't have a single person with every single driver. They can't afford that, right? Some sort of manager or whatever. But at certain thresholds, there are drivers like you and me who have been doing this a long time, regardless of our diamond or blue status or whatever else. We should be able to have a relationship with a human at Uber. That would be step one. And then step two would be for Uber to spend more time promoting, not promoting rank wise, but promoting in a positive way, speaking highly of their drivers. That's what I would do to build trust. Because then if I felt good, I wouldn't care as much about the take rate. Because again, I don't really care what the take rate is. I just don't. I start thinking about the take rate when I start feeling negative about how Uber treats me. And then I start diving deep into the data, and it kind of becomes this real circle. The truth is like a lot of times I'm really happy with the money that I make. So I don't really think about the take rate. I don't care. And I think if just Uber treated me with respect or treated you with respect, we would speak highly of them. We wouldn't be in this Facebook or this YouTube chat or on Reddit or Facebook. We wouldn't be talking negative about Uber to our passengers, right? I know I do it. They do it to me. Uber has a brand problem, a trust problem. And us, you, me as drivers, we could be their brand ambassadors to get them to escape that negativity. Let me jump in the chat one more time, see what's going on here. Tomek says he's a platinum driver. Drivers can now be unionized in California, so it's under for Uber here. Oh, I didn't know that. I know they can unionize in Boston too. Passengers do not want a relationship with drivers. They just want you for rides. I agree. Forever, a driver will be a driver to a passenger, even off the app. I agree. Well, I have a couple of passengers that I have relationships with. I've given them like 3 or 4 rides. And when I say a relationship, we know each other, stuff like that. Oh, right. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I super appreciate TDA. Thank you so much. Oh, that's super awesome. All right. So you guys can join the memberships. TDA, tell people what they get when they become a member. So the YouTube channel has a membership. I'll promote it here a little bit. What I try to do is provide behind the scenes of what's going on within the channel. I get a lot of questions. Okay, let me talk big picture real quick. Why do I have a YouTube channel? Is because I found it the best way for me to escape the algorithm of Uber. So Uber driving for a long time was my full-time job, and that was my only source of income. I had left my other job. I just started writing. I wasn't being paid to write. And so for a long period of time, Uber was how I paid all the bills. Now I was making $7,000-$8,000 a month in revenue, $9,000, even $10,000 months in revenue as an Uber driver. And after expenses, I was able to barely make ends meet. So there were times like tonight where I'm kind of sitting in my car doing nothing. There were no Lyft rides, no Uber rides, no DoorDash rides or whatever. What can I do to generate revenue? And I just started thinking, like, why don't I take my writing skills and my economic skills and all those other skills and turn it into this brand, Tip You in the App. That's how this all manifested. Now, I offered the membership on the YouTube channel. It's $3 a month. It's not super expensive, as a way to kind of show you behind the scenes, how I produce videos, what are some of my upcoming topics that I'm producing. Well, I have a new topic or new series coming up, or even a masterclass where I talk about escaping the algorithm, getting out of underneath the governance to some extent of Uber or these gig apps. Because I think each one of us, we all have special um, skill sets, and Uber doesn't fully take advantage of it. So I want us as a community to be healthy and happy and enjoy the ride, make as much money as possible. So when I created the membership, it's really a chance to kind of just let people see what I'm doing behind the scenes. It helps me fund the channel because I can tell you, it takes a lot of work to put together my videos. I look at I always think about Torsten. So the rideshare professor, I'm a big fan of his channel, and we text each other every now and then. So he's a friend I would consider, and but he just turns the camera on and talks to a screen behind him. The production quality of his stuff is so low, yet he gets so many views. I'm like, that's the way to do it. Me, I spend days working on a video, and I like to think that the production quality is really high. I hope it is. I spend a lot of time and effort doing hardcore data analysis and research, typing up scripts, and producing a high quality product that's a little bit different than what maybe the rideshare guy Harry does over at the rideshare guy, and or Torsten, Eddie, driver Eddie, or any of the other guys. So it takes a lot of work. So your memberships are a little bit behind the scenes. Sometimes we do a little bit of a Q&A, and that helps fund the channel because it takes a lot of work. So TDA, thank you so much for donating 10 memberships, and that really means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it. All right, let's go through here and let's see what else we got here. All right, Luigi, what's going on? Tiffany, welcome. Tsar, welcome. There you go. Tree God, thank you. John, Frank, William, E-Rock. I love that. E-Rock's awesome. Change, let's do it. Jonathan, Nick, let's do it. TDA, give the others a chance to look at your member-only videos. Thank you so much. Now I got to make some more. I got all these new members. I got to, you give me some more work. Let's see here. Deadly Overdose says, Levi, you're doing a good job. Keep it the driving big dog. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You know, sometimes I like to do the live streams just because you guys say nice things to me. I'll give you one final thought about today. So if you haven't seen, I did a video today. It's about Uber's take rate, and it took me about 2 to 3 days to put together all the material to produce the video. That was tough. And then it took me all day, 10 hours to edit and produce that video. There's so many links to things and references that I had to do. It just took forever to put it together. And then when I watched the video, after I edited it, I watched it, I hit live and I published it, and it was live on the internet. People were starting to make comments, and I started watching the video myself, and I was really disappointed. It was I spent 10 hours editing it, and I'm thinking to myself, this video, I look like an apologist for Uber. What's going on, Beach? I'm thinking what the heck? And I think if you watch the video, you'll see I'm not being an apologist for Uber. I point out certain flaws and things like that, but I'm not a fire breather. I'm not an anti-Uber guy because I love driving Uber. I love being an Uber driver. I love the people that I meet and being out in the city and stuff like that. So I felt yeah, it felt really bad. And so just do the math. Let's say this video took me 20 hours to do. 20 hours. Now, how much could you make in 20 hours as an Uber driver? Could you make $400, $500, $600? That's what this video's got to pay to replace Uber. If you, that's 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 a lot. That video is not going to make $600. I can tell you that. Um, so that's the dilemma that I got and things like that. So TDA, you purchasing 10 memberships really helps, and I'm forever grateful. I really truly am. Thank you. So I'm gonna go make a member only video tomorrow just for the new members. I'll do that tomorrow, kind of gives people behind the scenes on what it took to edit the video that I made, and maybe I'll do some other Q&A and stuff like that. Let's see here. Nick says net $13 an hour if I save to buy a new car. This gets obsolete a little bit. So it's been about an hour. I'm gonna cut the live stream off. I'm gonna go home. I have to throw this away before I get home. I don't want my wife to see that I had a milkshake. Drivers. Oh, I'm gonna show you one more thing. Take a look at this. Okay, this is really cool. Hold on. This is if you stayed on if you stayed in the live stream this long, I want to show you something. Watch this. Okay, this is my Apple Watch, right? So I have an Apple Watch here. It's the fancy outdoorsy one, right? So it's Apple Watch. And see that orange button? Watch this. Okay, put this right here. Okay, so there's my fancy. And if now I want you to notice, I know it's in reverse because it's backwards. This is on my right arm, so it's the center. So my left arm, out the window over here. So this is the middle of the car, the window, driver's seat, right? So you got all that. Watch this. If I hit this little button right here, watch what it does. Boot. That you may not be able to see that. It says start recording, and now it's recording. So it's recording the audio in the car, and it's in the middle, so I put it on my right hand. But look, my screen turns off, but it's still recording the audio. And this watch has a microphone here, 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 and here. What does that mean? Okay, I'm a content creator, and I take the audio from my rides, and I put them into a notepad, and I analyze them for the best stories of the day. Isn't that kind of cool? It sounds kind of crazy, right? Oh, I can't read the chat here. Somebody gave a thing there. I don't know what it was, but thank you so much. Let's see here. Where is there? I see a $5 thing or whatever put in there. Gabstar, you look cool. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hope she's not watching. Oh, she doesn't watch my live streams. My wife could care less. She just wants to see money in the bank account. I can tell you, Lisa. You know what sucks? When you're being courteous and professional and the writer says you're impolite. I know. It's the worst. I'm so sorry it happened, Mark. Oh, there you go. Sent a gift. I like those. Yeah, those stars. Thanks, Gab. Appreciate it. Okay. So why does it matter to record this? Well, let's say I have a great conversation with a passenger. I have my watch here. Then I can take that conversation. Watch, I'll play a recording for you here. See if you can hear it. Oh, that's not a recording. Let's see if I can get one that's a good recording with good sound on it here. Hold on. Hold on. Just bear with me here. Hold on. Yeah, that's good. Oh, no, hold on. Stick with me. It's so good. It's awkward to use it this way, though, so just bear with me, guys. Hold on. Is this your first? Yep. Congratulations. Not that you're giving birth, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
I know. I'm an auntie now.
You're an auntie now, yeah.
I got my own little
So
legacy.
I could take these recordings, put them like into AI and start to organize things so I can write about it. One of the hard things that I have when I write is I can't remember all the rides, but now it just automatically tracks it all. It's super good and it works really well. So I can write my stories, and I have to write more stories. My stories are the very best. That's what I love to do. If I could do one thing for the rest of my life, would be to go out, Uber drive, collect a story or two, interact with a passenger, write about it, and maybe make a YouTube video about it. So there you go. Hey, drivers, thank you so much for joining in on the chat today. I appreciate the gifts and TDA and everybody else. Thank you so much. Please, drivers, be safe, healthy, and happy this weekend. Make as much money as possible, and know that I am cheering for you. I really, truly am. All right. Hey, I want you guys to